Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shae Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. Welcome to another episode of Real Moms Podcast. I like to start every podcast off with a motivational quote, and today's quote is, "You may be right, I may be crazy, oh, but it just may be a lunatic you're looking for." So today I have Allison Chiaramonte. She is also goes by Allie. She is a native New Yorker from a real estate family with a background in commercial real estate with CB Richard Ellis and fashion with Barney's and Bloomingdale's. Allie made a swift ascent in residential real estate, ranking in the top 1% of realtors nationwide and top 20 real estate professionals in New York State for the last 5 years. Not only was she the #1 individual broker in her previous firm, but she has also been widely recognized as a rising star and thought leader and received numerous accolades for publications such as Real Estate Weekly, Crain's, Business Insider, WSJ, New York Times. Allie is a graduate of the Spence School, University of Pennsylvania, and Columbia Business School, and lives in an Upper East Side co-op with her husband and 3 children. So Allie, thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your busy day to be here.
Thank you, Shae. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. I find it very interesting that you have 3 kids and I have 3 kids, all the exact same age, 10, 8, and 5. So how do you manage it all? So obviously you must have got into real estate when you were pregnant with your first child?
So I made the switch to real estate when I was basically right after I had my first child, because he's almost 11, about 10 years ago.
Okay. So you must have came from a family of real estate and commercial, and then you went into fashion, or how did that all work?
So basically, my father was a real estate lawyer. I sort of was raised in and around real estate. But for whatever reason, when I graduated from college, I went into commercial real estate, which was like more office buildings, retail spaces. Did that for 2 years and hated it. I don't know if I actually hated it or I was just young and like my first real corporate job was a culture shock, but I had always wanted to go back to business school, and I kind of used business school as a way to escape that first job and the shock of it. Went to business school, and while I was there, I took the opportunity to intern for a fashion brand, and I had always loved clothes and aesthetics, but I didn't know about like a career opportunity or how to sort of make that happen when I was in college. And while I was in business school, I had this opportunity and then sort of pursued my love of fashion after business school in buying roles in women's designer at Bloomingdale's and then at Barney's, and internships at Max Mara and Hermes and all these great places. And I had what should have been like the dream job. Like I was buying women's designer clothing for Barney's, traveling to Europe all the time. And while that sounds really fabulous, it's a lot less glamorous than it sounds. And it's a lot of work and a lot of time away from home. And when I was super pregnant on a plane in economy on the way to Milan, like not feeling great, supposed to be sitting working on orders all day, I kind of felt like something needed to shift. And it was also an industry where I looked up and there were definitely a lot of women who were role models, but there weren't that many women who had families who I felt were sort of ahead of me. Like I didn't know where to go. And I took a few months off after having my eldest son, Max, to really kind of be like, what do I want to do? Do I want to work and I just sort of to try to figure that out, and not working wasn't for me. And at that point in time, I had been looking to buy and sell apartments personally with my real estate agent. And I was considering all these weird consulting gigs and trying to like piece together some semblance of a job that would work while also being a new mom. And my real estate agent was like, I think you should do what I do. Like, you could do this for a very long time. I think you'd be good at it. And that was sort of the beginning.
Yeah. That's I really like how you brought up the fact that, yeah, it sounds glamorous, like going over to Milan. Like I'm not a fashion person, but I've always heard like Milan is where the fashion industry is at, or a lot of people travel to. And you're right, it sounds so glamorous. And somebody listening to this might think like, why did you step away? Why would you walk away from the dream job? But like you said, especially when you're starting a family and you have a family and you have a husband back home, being gone is not the success. Like, just because you're doing what you enjoyed at the time, but like there's a balance in life when it comes to success. And I love, I don't know what song it is, of Jelly Roll. I don't know if you listen to him at all. Oh, it's called Haunted. And it says, I think I was better off with not the fame and basically not the money and stuff like that, because it's not always as glamorous as it seems from the outside or from the inside looking out. But then I also like how you talked about you didn't have leaders that also had families, because and that makes a big difference, because it's like, how can you do all of this and still have your family and be happy and be present, but still do the things that you enjoy? And if you don't have those role models ahead of you in that industry, it's hard to know. You don't know how to make it work. Because when I chose to leave my previous brokerage to where I'm at now, one of the main reasons is because my broker, yeah, she was good at real estate and she was the top agent, things like that, but everything else in her life was just crumbling. Like there was no alignment in her family life and her husband's life and being involved with her kids. Like, I was like, that's not what I want. Like, I want somebody that I can model in all aspects: faith, health, relationship, business, and finances. And I knew I was not going to be able to get there, because I knew I wasn't going down the right path though either, to get there. But I also knew that I needed to find somebody or people who have all of those alignments that can kind of help guide me through that. And you may not have it all, but then like, that's why I created this podcast and my Real Moms community, so I can have that aspect outside my other sources as well.
Right. It's very hard to sort of, and it's ironic because everyone's like, oh, real estate, it must be so flexible. And it's actually like, it isn't. But it does allow me to sort of pick and choose how I show up a little bit, and allows me to be, at school drop off when I need to be. Not every day, but like, it allows me to kind of decide how to, shape my own schedule, which a lot of corporate jobs, you don't have that luxury.
And I would agree. Like, you do have that flexibility, but you're probably working more. It's just at different hours and odd times. Like, if I'm going to take off a day during the week to be with my kids, to go to the zoo, well, I might be working that Saturday doing open houses or doing showings or something along those lines. So it's just a little bit of give and take. But you are kind of on a time constraint, because there's going to be times where evenings and weekends, if you're negotiating deals, you got to be on your phone. You have to be negotiating those deals, and you have to be responsive and all of those things. And one of my favorite quotes is, you don't rise to your, maybe you can help me. Something about like, you don't rise to your habits, you fall to your systems and processes. And one of the things that I think of is, like, in our area, I don't know, do you guys have like showing time?
So New York doesn't use showing time that much, but I'm like familiar with it. Like,
so when you guys do showings, or you have, let's say you have a booking or a listing and somebody wants to show your property, what are the steps for them to book a showing?
They email us via StreetEasy or directly, and then myself or someone on my team or my assistant will basically like check with the owner, make sure we have access, check with our schedules, and then put it in.
Okay, so yours is kind of similar to the way we do it, but like, one of the things that I'm pushing for here in our area is doing like showing time, where basically bypass the agent, the listing agent, and go directly to the seller and say, hey, can I schedule it for this time? Because otherwise I feel like I always have to be on my phone to make sure that I'm responding to showings even, And there's been a couple agents in our area who will literally avoid like setting up those showings because they are working a deal with their buyer or something along those lines. I had this happen. Yeah, I had this happen about a year or two ago. I reached out to the agent, wanted to show this like almost $1 million home to one of my buyers. He didn't respond for almost 36 hours. I tried calling him, I tried texting him. And then by the time he got back to me, he's like, sorry, it's under contract. I'm like, I know what you were doing. I know what you were doing. And so this like showing time is a system and a process, but it would help alleviate any of those issues. Because I wanted so bad to go to the seller and be like, he's not getting back to me. But I can't.
Showing time, like it's not widely used here, but like occasionally we'll get a request via showing time. I'm like, how do they, like, where is the info coming that's going in there? Because it's it would be nice to sort of bypass some of the back and forth, but there's a lot of like logistics and calls and emails and texts confirming, making, moving, it's just part of the process. And as my business has gotten bigger, it's definitely been like, how do you make sure that you have the systems in place so that you're not on your phone all day dealing with stuff that's not sort of mission critical to a deal?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of my struggles because that's one of the things that my husband and we've gone through phases of like, he's okay with it. And then sometimes he's not. And sometimes I get too consumed and too wrapped up. Like I had a lot of things happen in my life between 2023 and 2024 family wise that really took time away. So then I feel obligated to be on my phone more to kind of make up for that. And so then it's like, I'm home, but I'm not home. And in the evenings, I'm home more now because of systems and processes and all of those things, but I still am not mentally home. So then that, pulls your relationship away from your kids a little bit, from your husband, because they just want you. And that's something that I'm working through right now too, like as we speak, is that how can I navigate this? And one of the things is like showing time. Like if I could have showing time, otherwise I feel obligated to be on my phone. So if somebody wants to see one of my listings in 2 hours, I can contact the seller to confirm, but it's a whole thing. Like you do have to understand, like I think you have to download the app, the sellers might have to, I don't know how all that works, but I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out like better processes to help streamline things so I'm not having to be at my beck and call with my phone 24/7.
It's so hard. And like I like now see that the kids are old enough where they're like, you're on your phone. And sometimes they just want me to like even sit with them. Like my daughter wants me to sit and watch a movie or a show with her. And she doesn't want me to, like, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like she's watching whatever she's watching and I'll answer emails now. Like we're together, but like I can do that. But she literally wants me to put the phone down and just like sit and watch the TV show with her.
Yeah. Which, do you find that kind of a struggle sometimes?
Yes, such a struggle.
Because I'm like a bitch. You're like, I could just be doing so much in this hour and a half. But that's my tug and pull too, is like, that's what our kids want. Like they want us to be present. They want us to be there with them. And my husband, like when we go to bed, like I usually like to just fall asleep, or like I might be watching something on my phone because I don't do a lot of social media until like the end of the night. And he's going to be watching TV and he's like, well, why don't you just watch TV with me? I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, what's the difference of you watching TV and me looking at the screen? But to him, he's like, no, I want to be with you. Like I want us mentally. And I'm like, okay, like I got to figure that out. And it's not always easy. Have you and your husband ever had trials and struggles when it comes to that?
Yeah, so my husband works a fairly intense like job that ties him like to his office a lot. So he has very little flexibility during the day, which means that I pick up a lot of the slack in terms of like showing up at the school things or like picking up the calls from just sort of running the day to day. But he is, because of that and how sort of tied he is to his desk, his weekends are generally much more his own. And so I work a lot of Sundays, and that's always a struggle because there's only one of him. And because I work most Sundays, I have help too, but like we have 3 kids. So like one has a baseball game here, one has a class there. And when I'm gone all day, it's definitely a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think my husband's absolutely amazing. Yeah, they do get annoyed. And like you kind of like, we talked about how could we better approach situations, because like for me, like when I get on my phone and I'm super focused, like I gotta get this done really quick. Well, what he used to say to me all the time, hey, cheetah fingers, what are you doing? Okay, well then my defense mechanism goes up, my wall, and I get defensive. I'm like, well, I'm trying to work and make money, you know. And whereas we talked about like, hey, what would be a better approach to that? So one of the things that we talked about is like, because we really got down serious to this because it was really starting to affect us. And he's like, honestly, Shae, I just want you to be present. Like, I want you to be with us. So the way I need him to kind of show up and present it to me, and I feel like it's a better way, is, hey, babe, like, if you need to finish what you're doing, please do that quick. But I really need you to be present with us because I need us to be together. Or, you know, something along those lines, being a lot more like sincere and affectionate about it versus like, hey, cheetah fingers. And I'm like, you know, because then it's like, oh, okay, like you guys really do want me and need me as a mom to be not only physically there, but mentally and emotionally present with them as well. So I think it brings me back to reality. I haven't had to do that yet in the last like 3 weeks. I've been a lot better, but I know that there will come a time.
Totally. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's a business also where like you go on vacation and that's all of a sudden, and I like every vacation I have this like intention to be like fully present with everyone, and then like a deal blows up like without fail, or somebody all of a sudden wants to make an offer on something that you've been working with for 3 years and it's like the 2 days you're out of town.
Yeah.
So like that is just always a challenge to navigate.
It's crazy. I don't. My husband's in real estate too, so he kind of understands it. He does more land sales, so he's not as busy. He has bigger deals versus like a lot of littler ones in comparison. But he does kind of understand, like, we may as well just live on vacation because that's when you're the busiest anyway. So
I joke that like I should go on vacation more because that's when like good things happen, but it's also super stressful.
right.
My husband doesn't really understand it because he's tied to like the public equity market. So he's like dialed in when they're open, and he's still working when they're not, but it's like he's like, oh, it's like 10 o'clock at night, why are you talking to someone unless they're like located in a different country?
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's when they're not working anymore. So
Yeah. And it is tough because I think, I'm assuming he must have like a corporate job. Definitely a different mindset. Even if you have a corporate and you're very high up, there's still a little bit of a different mindset between entrepreneurship and the, you know, W-2 corporate world. Whereas like I feel like as an entrepreneur and a mom, you're not 100% disconnected. Like there's still a little bit of you like, oh, I should do this, I need to do this, and like you have like this whole list of things in your head that you need to do. And no, it never ends. So what do you do when you have all of these things that you have in your head that you need to get down? What have you felt is the best strategy for you to kind of work through that?
so for me, if I don't like write it down somewhere, it goes. I basically have like lots of lists on my phone, like notes personal, notes work, notes like this. And then one of the things I actually like about being at Compass is like I find their like internal CRM note taking on certain deals like easier to use than previous places I've been. So like I'll like write everything down, and sometimes I find that super discouraging because the list is super long. But at least like it's there, and then eventually I remember it, because I feel like in our business and in just being a mom and working, like you're literally always ping-ponging back.
Yes, that's so funny because I think I have like 3 different lists, and a lot of times I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to put it on my notes because sometimes I like the handwriting paper, so I'll just
Yeah, no, I mean, I do it on the computer, but then I also have like,
yes, we almost overcomplicate things for ourselves. Like, why do we need 3 different lists in different locations? Why don't you just put it all in the one? Well, I don't know, because it felt better to write it down on paper this time.
it feels nice to check it off when you do.
Yeah, and then I probably lose that piece of paper. But what I'm currently working on too is onboarding another agent who's going to handle a lot of my like listings and buyers. But the other thing that I'm going to be doing, so I have a marketing director here locally, and I have a transaction coordinator, and then I'm going to be bringing on this other agent. But I'm actually going to be utilizing a VA company.
One of those.
Do you have a VA?
Yes.
What do they do for you?
So his main thing that he does for us, and he does this for our team, so it's not just me, but he basically does all the scheduling. So like to our conversation before, we don't have showtime, but when I need to do a buyer tour that has 10 properties, he will basically handle all the back and forth of making those appointments, making sure that we're going in a direction sort of that makes sense, reconfirming, telling them we're running late day of whatever it is. And that's been super helpful. And one of the challenges I've found about like growing and scaling is like finding the time to train the people who are helping you of like how to do things the way you want to do. Because a lot of times I will be like, oh, well, I'll just do it because that's faster. But like, I have to remember and take a step back and be like, wait, I need to spend the hour teaching the VA or whoever it is on your team, your marketing coordinator, what I want done. And then it will be able to sort of happen, but it doesn't just like magically,
I know.
my brain doesn't go into theirs.
I know. And that is the biggest struggle, is because like in the long run, it's going to be so much easier to onboard or leverage somebody else. But like in the moment, you're like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to take care of it. And so you just do it because it is faster. But ultimately, so like a year or two ago, I ended up finally hiring my transaction coordinator. And then I hired my marketing director. And like, it took me a long time to finally get to the point of like, yes, I need to leverage it. But once you do, you're just like, holy moly. Like, it is a game changer. Yeah, you're going to have maybe like a setback for maybe a month, maybe 2 months, but in the long run, like, it should save you so much more time and ultimately so much more money, because you can focus on the income producing activities. And now I'm going to be transitioning, and I'm going to have my marketing director be able to utilize my VA. The nice thing about the company that I'm going to be utilizing is they sit with me through the interview process. They do all the training. They have all the resources. And if that particular VA doesn't work out, they help me go through that whole process of rehiring, interviewing people, things along those lines.
Yeah, and we actually we had two VAs. We had one VA at first, and they were fine. They were okay, but the new VA is much better. Just like, it's a better fit.
Yeah. And when you find that right person, so like, I'm going to be transitioning, and I'm literally making a list of what I could have this VA doing. Like, this is like, I got a whole list. And so like, that's, if you can see that, it's kind of blurry, but I got a whole list. And like, every single night I'm like, oh my gosh, I need this real quick. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited for this VA, because I'm just going to tell them to do it. Hey, will you do this? Hey, will you do that? And like, I'm just going to start shoving everything over to them. So like, once you finally make the decision, it is like a weight off of your shoulder, and you can't wait for that to actually, like, I'm so excited. I am so excited.
No, I feel like in our business, for sure, like offloading the things that aren't sort of key is a big piece of sort of being productive and growing the business. And then also not like feeling guilty about doing that. Like, our business has grown, and it's grown to a point where like, I can't be at every showing for every single listing all the time. So like, having the right people to like be able to do that and not feeling guilty that I'm not at 100% of the showings is something that I still struggle with. And I don't know why.
Wow. So you guys, so when you have a listing, like, it's, I guess, expected that the listing agent goes to the showing too? Really? See, that's not
why
weird.
I don't think showtime is like such a thing here, because it basically, there's never a showing where like the buyer and their agent come where someone from my team or myself is not there.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah. So we don't do that. Like, nope, you book it and you go show it. I don't need to be there. I think I've had one seller who did want me to be there for all showings, but that was
no, yeah. See, we have to be at every showing, and like, when the team has 20, 30 listings, like, it's just not logistically possible for one or two people to be at every showing. So you need the manpower. And then you also, when you're all running around all day, no one's sitting at a desk like planning tomorrow's schedule.
Yes. Wow. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, there's a lot of like back and forth. That's like half the battle.
Why do you think that do you think that that's just like what it's been for so long and nobody's ever shifted that? Or is that something that the sellers really want? Or is there like a trust thing where you don't know all these agents? Because like, in my area, it's a smaller community. So like, I know every single one of the agents, so you know what I mean? So like, is that maybe why in a bigger city?
I don't know. I mean, it's always, since I've been doing this, like, it's the only time we've ever been allowed to let people into an apartment without us physically being present is like, maybe if it's a new development or a totally empty apartment, it's another agent we know well, we can be like, okay, like you got access, but like we basically we have to be there at every showing, every inspection, every revisit, every measuring. So like there's a lot of physical time in the property, some of which are important and are selling the property, but some of them are not.
So you have, so if the buyer's agent, if you have a property under contract and the buyers want to go back and do a measurement, you as a seller or listing agent, you or somebody from your team has to meet them there. Holy moly. Okay. I shouldn't complain.
Yeah. If you want to do an inspection, like once myself or someone from my team will sit there and like watch the inspector.
Oh my gosh. See, no, nope. Even me as a buyer's agent, I don't even go to all of my inspections, like for my buyers even. Because I know the inspector so well. So a lot of times I try, but like my priority is making sure that my clients can be there for the walkthrough. But ultimately, like I make sure that, okay, if I can't, I'm going to obviously talk to the inspector on the phone and then we'll, put something together. But I would say most of the time, I'm not even there as the buyer's agent to go through the inspection, which I mainly work with sellers anyway. But yeah, there's nobody. I think I had one seller one time want me to be there. No, that was a for sale by owner. So I told him, no, never mind. He wanted me to be there for the inspection. And I'm like, I don't represent you. So I'm not going to be there. You can do it yourself. Like you wanted to do this on your own. I brought the buyer and he wanted me to be there during the inspection. I said, well, no, I don't represent you. You can be there. He was not a nice person. So I was just kind of over him at that point in time. But no, I kind of want to go back to, so what about boundaries? Like, do you have certain boundaries with clients that you kind of set the tone or at least maybe guide it later on as to what works and what doesn't? The reason I bring this up is because I literally had a seller who fired me and I just fired him like last week because he didn't like the fact that I wasn't going to be responding to him at 10 o'clock at night or 8:30 at night. And now because you said you talk to clients at 10 o'clock at night. I've done that before too, because they work during the day and that's the only time. This gentleman is retired. He doesn't have anything to do during the day. He can contact me and I'm sure you kind of pick up on that when you have clients who are just, they're trying to grab an inch, but they want to take 5 miles. So he was that client. Like you can text me all day. You can call me. And I've even said, hey, do you have time to call? No, I'll have to get back to you later. No. I got little kids. We got activities. I have a family. So he basically fired me and I was ready to let him go anyway because I wasn't responding to him at 8:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, 5 o'clock in the morning. And he even brought that up. He's like, well, when I was working and we had an emergency and a pipe leak at 10:30 at night, I had to go address it. And sometimes I wouldn't get back till 5:30 at night. I said, with all due respect, there's nothing in the real estate world that I can solve at 10 o'clock at night. A pipe leak, completely different. That's not, I'm not going to go fix your pipe leak. I'm not, but I guess, do you set those boundaries? How does that work for you?
So that's actually, I think like one of my personal goals is to work on boundary setting because I feel like my business grew quickly and I think it partially grew because I didn't have boundaries, but as you said, that wasn't so great for the rest of my life. And I sort of got in this hamster wheel of really doing everything myself, being the contact, expecting that, kind of giving clients that really white glove service. And I still want to give them that, but for my own sanity and also so that I do a good job, I can't do that at the same level for everyone all the time. So I'm trying much more now to set some boundaries where it's like, hey, I'm not working on Saturdays. Like I understand that, that's, I'm taking a day off, whatever that week is, depending on the week. And also like in terms of call times, I'm trying to, if I'm out to dinner, like put the phone down until I'm fully done with dinner, or if I'm with the kids, same thing. And I've been prioritizing a little bit more. So like being okay with, not responding for an hour or two. Like I also know which deals are sort of in that crux period where you like, I feel like every deal has like a week or two lifespan where it's like the make or break of either a negotiation or first few weeks on the market. And like, I try to be like, okay, those people for this week are the priority and they're going to get really my focus, and everyone else who I'm still going to get back to, I'm going to respond to them, but they're not like in a mission critical part of their deal process or their buy or sell cycle. Like they will be in like normal working hours. Like, you know, someone who just put in an offer, we have a multiple bid situation, just got home from work and wants to talk it out. I will make the time to talk to them, but I'm not going to like chit chat about a future search 6 months down the road at 10 p.m. anymore.
Right. Yeah, I've kind of gotten to the point where like between 5:30 and like 8:30, I'm probably not going to be responding unless, like you said, it's a critical thing. We have multiple offers or an offer or making an offer, then yes. But otherwise, like between 5:30 and 8:30 until my kids go to bed. Now, when I get back to my phone or computer at 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to respond. It depends on what it is that they're talking about. Because if it's something that can wait till morning, I'm waiting till morning. Or ever since iPhone got the whole like send later text message, game changer. Because a lot of times, like I get up early. I get up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So like I want to respond to all these people. Well, nobody wants a text message at 4:30 or 5. So, but I need it off my brain. Like I need it off my load. So the whole set a reminder later on, I did it like to 5 people this morning after 8 o'clock. So then it looks like I'm not truly responding until after 8 o'clock. And that has been a game changer.
I do a lot of later sends. And I also love now on iPhone, like how the reminders like also go in your calendar as well as like the list.
Yes.
Because I feel like it used to be just the list, but now I can be like, remind me at 4 p.m. to check on this or do whatever.
And then it gives you the reminder on your calendar. Because yeah, if it's not on my calendar, it's probably not going to happen. My friends have figured out, like if we agree to doing like an event or like going somewhere and doing something, they're going to send me an email invite. So that way it's on my calendar. Because if I don't get that invite and it's not on my calendar, I will forget about it. So yeah, the other thing, like I was talking to my friend who he has like 4 different VAs and it's with their company, but he's like, Shae, I literally don't even order my own like paper towels and toilet paper anymore. He's like, that is all offboarded. I have my VA handle everything. So I think even like as a mom being okay with one, like the Walmart grocery pickup or delivery, that has been a big game changer. So I don't have to actually go into the grocery store and buy groceries. I can have them delivered to my office because they don't deliver to our house. We live in the country, but they can deliver to my office and then I bring them home. Or like I finally hired somebody who can do my laundry while cleaning. So they'll clean my house every other week and put all my laundry away. I'll keep it all going. But those are the things that like, if I'm going to be, when I'm home, do I want to spend it doing 4 hours of laundry, putting it away? No, like I'd rather spend it with my kids. So like being okay with offloading some of the duties at home. And he even said, he's like, I was talking to, this is a different gentleman. He's like, Shae, I don't even make breakfast anymore. I have somebody come over and make my breakfast. I'm like, I'm not to that point yet, but maybe someday. But like, yeah, I mean, like being okay with not having to do everything. Like if it means having somebody else make a homemade meal for supper a couple nights a week, then do that. You know, offload that a little bit to other people so you can spend that quality time and be okay with, even though you're a mom and also running a business, being okay with offloading some of the things that doesn't really.
You have to. Like,
yeah.
I have my nanny who's great. Like the kids are in school, so I started having her handle the fresh direct like orders where they like, because I know it sounds silly, but it's like 10 or 15 minutes a few times a week of like, and she knows better than me. Like, are we running low on milk? Do we need more of this? So and so likes to eat the chocolate flavor now, not the vanilla flavor. Like it wasn't a big time suck, but it was time that wasn't really making any difference in my business. It wasn't quality time with the kids. They don't care who orders the groceries.
Right.
And like little things like that do add up. We had this business coach a few years ago who, I don't always listen to this, but I think about it a lot, where he basically made us write down kind of how much we made over a 3-year average and then how many hours we thought we were working, et cetera. And he basically said, if the thing that you're doing, you could pay someone else to do for like half of this or less, like you shouldn't be doing it. Yep. And I don't listen to it a lot of the time, but it is sometimes like, oh wait, like I'm like, I could do that. But maybe you shouldn't be, even if you can.
Right. Yeah. No, I have a note on here, like what I feel, what my goal is on what I'm worth per hour and what I make per hour essentially for like the last several years.
Exactly. It's what you make per hour. Like as if you were a lawyer charging by the hour.
Yes, exactly. So then I look at, okay, well, if I can hire somebody to do my marketing for $10 an hour or $20 an hour, do it. Like, offload it. And I would, we don't have a nanny, but I mean, our kids are old enough, but we don't really need to. And our one, or our,
Yours also probably all go to the same, like mine go to different schools and like
yeah,
different
they go to
parts.
the same one. My daughter, my youngest goes to preschool, so it's different. But so she goes to preschool every day. But yeah, having somebody who's home, and like you were talking about, like ordering that, it's not even the fact of like placing the order, but it's the mind thought of, hey, I need to make sure I get this, 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 and this, and this. So yeah, even though it only takes 15 minutes, it actually takes you a whole lot longer than that because you're thinking about it in advance. Where if you could just offload that to somebody else, like you don't even have to think about it. It's just there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and little things like that, like I don't know if it's a big thing where you are, but like we have these home organizers that help us get sometimes sellers ready to like list their property so that it doesn't feel cluttered and whatever. And I invested a few years ago, I'm like, I'm treating myself to like the organizer's going to do the house, and I feel like it just created like the mental space at my home where everything has a place, it's organized, it's like very clear, and like it is totally a luxury, but like it makes everything easier.
That's interesting. Yeah. See, I work from my office, but yeah, we don't have anything like that. I do have a staging consultant that I have meet with my sellers because if I can tell them one thing and then my staging consultant goes in there and tells them the same thing, maybe hopefully they'll eventually listen. But I have a staging consultant. I guess I don't have like a home organizer, but
Well, like when we like some of these properties people are living in and there's just so much stuff. And we're like, we need to have this look organized, but like we understand that you're living there while we're showing. So like how do we make that happen? It's not necessarily staging, but these people will come and help you create systems and sort of help you declutter, for lack of a better word.
okay.
And then I was like, I should do this for myself. Like,
Yeah.
and like, I could do it. I could sit down and like go through my kids' closets and pull out the things. Like I can do it. But sometimes like having people help with some of the stuff that you want to get done, it's important to you, but it doesn't like your kids don't care. Your
Right.
husband doesn't.
Like taking out your kids' clothes from 4 years ago out of their dresser finally and getting rid of them.
Exactly.
Nobody
Like,
cares,
please
but that
take
takes a
out all
long
the
time.
3-year-old clothes. I have no 3-year-olds left. Like,
Yeah. I just did that. I went through my oldest daughter's and in her dresser there was like size 5, which obviously now can go over to my 5-year-old, but at the like that's not what it was for. It was literally in my 10-year-old's dresser. I'm like, I don't need that in there. So
yeah. Because like that stuff takes time. It's silly, but it does.
it takes a lot of time actually. It takes a lot longer than people think.
Yeah.
But so they have like you guys have like organizers who will go through and like take all of that out for you?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, and again, like kind of like the VA, like you kind of have to tell them like what you want them to do. But if you spend the time doing that and they kind of get to know you, it's easier. And also we're like space constrained. So like you have your winter clothes and your summer clothes, and a lot of the buildings have storage units. So like you're going up and down, and it's like the home edit on HGTV or whatever, like all those shows.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, like this is the kind of the information like a lot of the listeners I feel like want though too is like how can we not only streamline our business, but how can we streamline at home activities too? Because I think as a mom and as a parent, we feel like that's our duty to do all of those things, but we also need to be okay with the fact that no, you can ask for help in those other places. Now, if you're hiring somebody to go play with your kids, nanny, one thing. But like to take the time, like I mean, your kids want you. They want you to be there, to be present. So if it means you hire somebody to do your own groceries, or you hire somebody to cook your own meals, you hire somebody to do your own laundry, like that's what you need to do. Because how much is that 1, 2, 3 hours of time with your kids worth? Well, it's worth more than $20 an hour. So then do it. You know, like make sure you're making that happen. It's not always easy. It is a struggle, you know, especially if you're trying to build your career and you don't have a lot of money and all of those things, but kind of putting into perspective, kind of like what we were talking about before, is like, what is your time worth per hour? And if you could find somebody else to do that work for half the price, do it. Like you'll start to see how leveraging your time can actually end up netting you more money in the long run.
And I think I have a lot of guilt about outsourcing some of those things that I think are family things. And it's, or things that I think I should be able to do or handle, like whether it's like, you know, applying kids to school or filling out, like when I don't know what the answer is, like, and there are people who are like, you can pay to help, I'm hesitant to do that at first. But generally, and I feel like my husband's much more clear cut where he's like, no, you should do that. That's really going to stress you out. That's going to like get help for that. Where I'm like, no, it'll be fine. I can figure it out. And then I'll be like spending the weekend, like stressed out, like looking online, researching something or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know. That's like my friend. Her husband is trying to. They bought a house. They moved it onto their place, and her husband's trying to be the GC, and she is like done with it. I said, nope. I will never do another project without somebody else being the GC and handling everything, because then you get miscommunication, and actually ends up costing you more money in the long run versus just paying a GC. Like, have them deal with it. They're gonna, like, the time frame of everything is so critical, and so she's super frustrated. And but that's her husband's doing, because he thought he could handle it all. And he's actually my cousin. He's so laid back. My entire family is like way too laid back. It's like, no, come on, like, let's be a little bit stressed about things. Come on.
No, I don't deal well with it. It's that laid back. It's like you need a little bit of stress.
Yeah, no, he's like,
But-
we're fine. She's like, it is 6 months past when we were supposed to be moved in. So, and he's like, it'll be okay. No, not 6 months, but like 3. And he's just, my family.
Yeah. Well,
my dad's
it's
side.
stressful. Like I feel like I watching people go through multiple moves all the time. It's just like a crappy time.
Yeah, I don't like moving, and I don't envy my sellers. I'm like, that's the one thing I don't have to deal with, is helping you actually move. So sorry, not sorry, but I can give you resources for people who can help you move. I got that.
But that's like another example of like people get all stressed out about the move. And I'm like, if you have the resources and this is stressing you out, like here are the full service, like white glove movers who will pack you, who will do that stuff for you.
Yeah, I know if I ever move again, which we will someday, that's what I will do. 100%. I ain't packing my own stuff. No way. I will be way too stressed. It's going to take away from my business, take away from my family time, and end up costing me way more money in the long run than paying somebody $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 to move my own stuff. So
No, and
it's
talking
my
about,
perspective.
like when you were saying boundaries, like yes, you have to set boundaries with other people, but I feel like sometimes the hardest boundary is like with myself, to be like, I'm only going to worry about this for 30 minutes, or I'm only going to, I'm just going to make a decision. And once I've made the decision, I'm not going to second guess it or do more research or whatever it is.
Yep. Make the decision and commit to it. And I think that's where I've done a really good job at, like, when I make a decision, like it feels right. I go based off of my gut a lot, which I think drives my husband a little bit crazy because he's a little bit more of the analytical side. I'm more of like, oh, it feels right. Let's do it, But when I make a commitment, because I remember a friend or a client of mine, they bought a property and he's like, Shae, why don't you make the decisions for everything, like countertops and cabinets and wall color and all of those things. And I remember going in, I'm like, yes, yep, we're doing that. Like, I just went in there and I made a decision. And like, even the store people, they're like, well, do you want to take this home or do you want to take it to the property and check it out? I'm like, no, like, we're making a decision and moving on. Well, after it was all done, like, it turned out absolutely amazing. But I look back and I'm like, holy moly, like, that was a lot to handle on somebody else's dime without like second guessing myself or having like another person like telling me. But it worked out great. I mean, they ended up making money. It sold right away. But I remember looking back and I'm like, damn, like I didn't even second guess it. I didn't even have somebody else like confirm, nothing. It was just like, yes, go. Like, I'm not thinking about it.
Having a business partner, like the way our team is structured, it's myself and a sort of my partner who we started the team together. So we've been like work wives for a while. And sometimes like, I feel like it's just having the person there to agree with you. Half the time, I don't even think we're listening to each other, but just be like, yes, what your initial response is the right response. Go. Saves so much time and energy because you're just like, yes, I am right. I'm going to keep going.
When you trust your partner, it makes it so much easier. So like, we're working on a development and I have 3 other partners and we've gone through some like questionable, I want this, I want that. Like, I think we should do this. I think we should do that. But now it's gotten to the point, it's like, okay, well, if that's how you feel, if you feel that that is going to be in the best interest of the development, your partners, all of that, let's go for it. And you just have to start like leaning into that and trusting your partners that they have your best interest in mind too. And it does make life so much easier. Because if I had to do this development like on my own or with partners that I didn't trust, it would fall apart, hands down. It would fall apart. Yeah. So, well, Allie, tell me, before we get going, I always ask every one of my guests, what is one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self or somebody who's kind of getting into the mompreneurship world? What is one piece of advice you would give them?
I think that it's everyone talks about balance. I don't really think that that exists. I think that it's all different waves and like moments in life. So like there will be months where it's like all about work and then months where it's all about kids. And obviously you're striving for that equal amount every day, but I don't think you get it. I think you go through like seasons of that. And I think also I have trouble with this, frankly, but like having more grace with yourself about the mess ups, not doing it all that you could be doing more. I feel like I'm my own biggest enemy in the sense that I'm like, oh, well, I should be further along. I should be here. I should be there. And my husband sometimes checks me and he talks about when you switched from fashion to this was supposed to be like your chill career. And it's not at all. It's totally full time. And if that's what I want. And I chose that. But like, sometimes I'm too harsh on myself. And I think that a lot of moms starting out are, sort of judging their own, how they're showing up at home, how they're showing up at work, how they're showing up with their husbands. And I think we probably all need to give ourselves a little bit more leeway and patience. Like it takes a while, at least in this business, people start and they have a bad first year and they're like, oh, I can't do it. And I'm like, it took 3 or 4 years. Like it takes a little while to ramp up.
Well, and you can even get to a point where you're doing really well, and then like 1 year, like COVID year, or this last year, that you have a bad year, and you just need to be okay. Like it's hard to say it, but you have to be okay with, okay, well, you just got to keep going. Like honestly, last year was my best year. So hearing the stats of like 74% of agents didn't sell a single home, like mind blowing to me. But but if like I had more transactions, I had more volume. But if you look at my bottom dollar, I also spent more to kind of keep ahead. Whereas a lot of people in down times, they pull back. I was like, nope, got to charge forward as much as I don't want to. And there's no guarantee. It ended up being my best year yet.
And I think that's one of the hardest things is investing in it before you sort of have the bottom line and the sales to whatever you're selling to back it up. I feel like the biggest mistakes I've made, like COVID was like a pullback year. And I feel like if I had been smart and forward thinking, I would have hired another agent, like dug in so that when that lift of the market came, we were totally ready to capture more. And like, I was too nervous then, but I won't make that mistake again.
Right. When what I kind of do when I try to pay attention in the real estate world, because when they say like when people buy, it's time to sell. When people are selling, it's time to buy. But like the opposite of what's going on is scarier and almost a little riskier. So I try to take that into consideration when I'm an agent as well, as like, okay, well, if everybody is pulling away from spending the money on leads and all of those things, now is the time to push it out there, which is scary because again, there's no guarantee of a return. You're spending more money, income is getting a little bit less. Like it's a very scary thing, but it has worked. So like I doubled down last year. Actually, it was like end of 2023 on spending more on Zillow leads and whatever else, which ended up turning out to be a saving grace. Like I may have been spending $1,100 a month, but it ultimately made sense because I had, 10 transactions from Zillow last year or whatever it was. So it made sense. I focus more on my past clients' repeat referrals. So like last year, I think it was 74% or 70% of my transactions came from repeat referrals because I spend so much time and energy and money on my past clients. But I also knew the importance of purchasing these online leads and getting a different source of income and leads coming in versus just my repeat referrals.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing for me would be giving yourself some grace, leaning in kind of even when it's scary and before it's happened. And then also like learning to say no. Mm-hmm. I feel like we were talking about your client where you're like, like having like listening to that intuition that, oh wait, this is not going to be a good fit. Because one bad client or bad employee, or not bad, but like these little things can be giant time sucks. And some you don't always know ahead of time, but sometimes like that red flag goes up and you're like, wait, this is going to not be worth it. Yeah. I generally am like, nope, it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. And sometimes I wish I had listened to that gut instinct. Yes. Like, no, don't do this.
Yes. And I have one going on right now because one, I let go or he fired me, I fired him. It was a mutual firing. And I'm at peace with it. But back in the day, I probably would have been like, oh, that sucks, which it does still kind of suck, but you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But I have another prospective seller who, no, I decided over the weekend, like, I ain't taking that. Like, I have spent so much time, energy, mind thinking, meeting with her, and nope, I didn't even call her. Like, nope, I'm not doing it. It's going to be an overpriced listing. It's not going to sell. She's going to drive me crazy. She's probably going to give me a bad, no matter what. She's the kind of person, just like the other guy, that no matter what I did, it was never going to satisfy them. Ever, ever, ever. So.
Right. And being able to recognize that ahead of time and like act on it. Cause I like fall into like the sunk cost fallacy where I'm like, well, I've spent however many hours on the phone and I've been to that apartment 4 times. Like, shouldn't I just like push through? And like learning to cut your losses sometimes is. It's tough.
My podcast recording last week was literally about this gentleman. Her and I were talking about, like, I paid for a staging consultant, professional photos, 3D virtual tours, 2D interactive floor plan, updated photos. Like, I probably spent almost $2,000 plus all my time and energy. And she even said the same thing. She's like, but comes a time where you just have to cut those losses and move on, because it's actually costing you more money because you're so focused on that particular client. So literally the very next day is when we decided to meet and part ways. So that was last week. That's what happened. And I was like, so much more freedom.
With those people, they take like time and effort, and then like you miss something big. Like I lost a deal 2 years ago. I thought I pressed send. It was a big deal. It was like a townhouse, multi-million-dollar property. I was super excited. I angsted over like the pricing, the this, the that. I never pushed send on the email. And then like I followed up like 3 days later, and they're like, what email? You didn't price. We thought you weren't interested. And like, I was just trying to do too much at once.
Yep. Yeah. So giving yourself grace, being okay with not being grinding and busy, and taking time with your family is a big thing though too. And being okay with leveraging the things at home that you don't enjoy. I hate laundry. I don't like cooking. Fortunately, my husband enjoys it, but yeah, those are all things like I don't want to do. So just figuring that out and
I don't do well, and I know that about myself.
No, nobody wants to eat my cooking. No, it's fine. I can cook. I just don't like to. So,
I can't.
Yeah. But well, Allie, I truly appreciate you being here and taking the time out of your day. Is there anything else that you want to promote, or if somebody's interested in purchasing or buying in your area, or maybe an agent looking to connect with you, where can they go?
So I'm on Instagram at Allie Loves NYC, which is ALLI Loves NYC. We're always looking for great agents in New York. But yeah, no, I'm just here if anyone wants to reach out and be friends.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you so much, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shae J Spitz. That's ShaeJSpitz. And share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.